Patience, Keeping Cool in a Crisis, created, directed, and presented by Reverend Dr. Dickie Joe Mullen. Crisis seems to be a part of our existential experience as humans, and throughout history there have been many times where crises were more frequent than in other times. We seem to be in a time where there is one crisis after another, and Dr. Mullen will discuss how to cope with crisis in a way that allows us to function.
This is astrologer Dickie Joe Mullen coming to you from Orlando, Florida, very close to the site of the Pulse mass shooting not long ago, just down the street from my house. And that got all of us thinking about how to cope and keep calm and carry on in the midst of crisis. I'm not an end of the worlder, but things aren't the same anymore. Our world is changing. All of it is covered in prophecy. Nostradamus, Black Elk, even the book of Revelations in the Bible, and Edgar Cayce all predicted great changes in society and cycles of violence. And of course the Second Amendment and gun violence issue is so sensitive, and we all have to find our own truth, follow our own bliss. But in the meanwhile, crisis can strike anyone, any place, at any time. How do you survive? How do you keep calm and carry on, as the saying goes? Well, part of it is just that, thinking things through, observing, and survival or not, well, there is an element of fate. I'm a believer in free will, but within limits. However, we can tip the astrological scale in our favor by thinking about planetary qualities, our own birth charts, and reading situations with astrology. The first thing to remember is to control anger. Suppose that someone blows the horn out on the interstate, and we all feel an element of aggravation. But remembering that anger is one letter away from danger, one moment of patience can ward off a great disaster, while one moment of impatience can ruin an entire life. These axioms, which both surfaced in fortune cookies, believe it or not, while I was fortunate to enjoy some Chinese meals, gave me the idea for this video and also gave me a chill, because they seem to actually prophetically reflect thoughts and conversations we're all having. Patience, a cool, calm, collected demeanor, seems like such a precious commodity these days. During times of personal and planetary transition, it's a good thing to focus on. Astrological guidelines for looking at keeping calm and coping with a crisis, maintaining our patience and our cool, relate to the energy planet Mars and its aspects to the Sun, Saturn, or Pluto, both in the natal chart and in the heavens. There's certain times that are hot spots. Let's begin with a look at dealing with keeping calm and coping with a crisis, looking at the planet Mars. Mars, the god of war, does represent violence and real danger to the physical body. People who are born with Mars in an angular house, 1, 4, 7, or 10, can tend to be at the heart of any activity that could potentially be dangerous. If you were born with Mars in 1, 4, 7, or 10 among the houses of your natal birth chart, don't be afraid, but be prepared. The safety of the physical body is the first house, and you want to begin to think of the physical safety of the physical body. The planet Saturn represents comfort, survival, also karma, things that are fated. The planet Mercury will show you how to reason your way out of trouble. In astrologically speaking, the sign of Aries can represent a hot-headed quality. Looking at the sun signs, the basic familiar birth signs everybody knows, Aries says don't give up too quickly, and exercise, follow through, and think of what the phrase hot-headed means. It just means getting angry, and getting angry won't get you much else many times. Taurus, being overly stubborn or persistent can be something you have to deal with. Music can help you. Taurus relates to the ears and sound. Gemini influences boredom, use care with words, think things through, sensitive communication, information through books and media can help you in dealing with a crisis. Cancer people, moods and emotions are heightened during a crisis situation. A bit of detachment helps. Cancer relates to food, and serving or cooking food, enjoying comfort food, believe it or not, can help if there's a crisis situation. Leo, look for a creative outlet. Photos or drawings can help if you feel disheartened and underappreciated when everything seems to be going south, as the saying goes, in the world around us. Virgo, constant worry and stress would be your Achilles heel. Remember, most of what you're worried about won't happen. Keep your faith strong. Health factors are important here. Libra people, companionship is vital to you when there's a crisis situation going on. Teamwork, sharing, adding a little bit of beauty, and checking up on ethics or legality. Remember, your symbol is the scale, and it represents balance. Scorpio, shared resources, sharing the workload, looking beneath the obvious, and working at being a first responder, helping others get food, water, or if you have the skill, restoring services. Sagittarius, your pets are going to come first. Wildlife intervention during the recent wildfires in California is one example. There were many people who were very, very involved with trying to help the puzzled animals and then also to rescue pets. In approaching a crisis, an adventurous, active attitude will often help you. Capricorn, be very systematic. Your outlook is serious. Take time to sincerely assess a situation. Have a timeline. And also, the care of the very old or the very young can be important in crisis intervention. Aquarians, the psychology of trauma. How does it permanently affect someone? Post-traumatic stress disorder, victims' trauma, school children having an inventive, makeshift, and improvising way to change and cope with how upsets in our daily routine can affect people. You can be useful in dealing with that. Pisces, you're the pacifists of the zodiac, overcoming any problems with dream work, and also watch out for con artists who can surface in a crisis situation. You can be overly trusting, having faith that this too shall pass, not feeling that you're overwhelmed by the deceptive qualities of a crisis. Something that was a crisis last week, it stays with us, but it does fade into history. Yesterday was history, tomorrow's a mystery. Living in the present, that cliche can be very helpful if Pisces influences are strong in your birth chart. This is Dickie Jo Mullen in Orlando, Florida, with some thoughts about keeping cool and calm in the changing world around us.